Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we Masechtas Beitzah Daf Hey. We are going to begin on the bottom of Daled with Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Itmar. What happens when it comes to the Shnei Yomim Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah? Which turns, coincidentally, this is actually the time of Rosh Hashanah that we're learning this Gemara in 2021. So the question is, if you have an egg that's born on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, are you allowed to eat it on the second day? So Rabbi Shmuel Debritabayu know the Beitzah Sur B'zeh. According to both opinions, they say that you cannot use or eat this egg on the second day. Why? So Rashi says, Shehem Vadai Chok Kavua. This is definitely a set law. Lios Kiyom Oruch. That is considered to be like a long day. Midrabanan. Why? Shemitchila lo machmas safek hischil asaisa. It was never that we had a second day of Rosh Hashanah because of a suffix. This is just how it was always instituted. Of course, we know when it comes in practical halacha, we know on the second night of Rosh Hashanah, we have a shachianu fruit that we put on the table before we say Kiddush. And the reason is because when we say shachianu on the second night, the question is, are you supposed to say shachianu? If you hold that it's a Yom Arichta, it's like one long day, so then you already said Shachianu on the first night of Rosh Hashanah. You wouldn't have to say it a second time. But because there's this possible interpretation that Rosh Hashanah, even though unlike what we're saying here, that it's like 2 separate days, so therefore Shachianu is warranted. But because it's possibly it's a Yom Arichta, so therefore we have the fruit in which you would have to make a Shachianu on that. So when you make Kiddush, you have das intention also on the fruit. Now, why do we see, or how do we see, that this was something that was always instituted? Did not. Originally, they would always accept testimony the entire month. What does that mean? It says Rashi, Yom Shloishim Shel Elul, on the 30th day of the month of Elul, which of course is possible, it's Rosh Hashanah, or tomorrow's Rosh Hashanah. So they would not do malacha because starting from that night, because it's possible that witnesses are going to come and say that today's Rosh Chodesh or Rosh Hashanah. So So the witnesses tarried in coming. They didn't come right away as we continue to Hamid Aleph. And Bashir. So Levium made a mistake when it came to the song. What does that mean? So Rashi says, Tamid shel ben harabayim in the afternoon, Shamar bo shira shel chol. They said the weekday song, Shahoy Svorim, they thought, Shol yavu od ba yom chol. They thought, that's it, no one's coming, it's over. So they said the weekday shir. And it turned out, Adam came afterwards, and they realized that it was actually Rosh Hashanah. So because of that, they recognize that really today is Kodesh. So says the Gemara, they said, from now on, we're only going to accept witnesses up until the afternoon, says Rashi, until the carbon is brought. Afterwards, no. And the reason why is because once they would bring the Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim and they would use the Shir Shel Chol, they wouldn't want this to happen again. So therefore they said, we're not going to accept any more witnesses. We'll just assume that tomorrow is Kodesh. But let's say they do come. So no Hagen Oisto Hayom Kodesh or Machar Kodesh. They'll say that today is Kodesh and tomorrow is Kodesh. Now even though the truth is that we know for sure that today is Rosh Hashanah because the witnesses came after Mincha. So the reality is today is really Rosh Hashanah, not tomorrow. But they instituted the Chadchila, even though it's not a suffix, that we're going to be knowing both days as Kodesh. And therefore it's considered to be like a Yom Arichta, like a long day, and therefore because of that, no the Beitzah Sur B'zeh. Omer Rabba. So Rabba says, Metekanas Rav Yochanan Zakai, from the time of the Tekana Rav Yochanan Zakai, Ve'elach, Beitzah Muteras. Actually, he matered the egg on the second day. Did not. Mishachar Beitzah Mikdash. Once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and obviously no potential mistake could be made with the Shir Shachol, so therefore he's going to Rabbi Yochanan Zakai Shahoy Mekabel Neder Sachedesh Kol Yom. He said we could accept the testimony the entire day. So we look at Rashi, V'hari hein kishar Yom Tov shel Goliath. Therefore, he said that Rosh Hashanah is no different than any other Yom Tov. Beitzah shenodeh b'zeh muteres b'zeh b'manashach techad minayuchol. We definitely are allowed to eat this egg on the second day because one of these 2 days is definitely a weekday. So I thought we said that this egg is asur. We said that nodeh b'zeh asur b'zeh. So I can answer like this. Rabbi Yochanan Zakai, I said to Rabbi Yochanan Zakai, Yad Amr li Rabbi Shmuel Kasha Masnisin. So, okay, fine. You can say that they're 2 different people, but still, how do we understand this contradiction in the Mishnah? Kasha. Halon, halavu. So one is us, and one is them. So what is that? So, as Rashi says, Livnei Eretz Yisrael, Shoisim Yom Echad, that it's a 1-day holiday, Sumutaras. So therefore, it's allowed. They can eat the egg on the next day. Probably done. But ne goyla asura. For us, it's us on the second day. Shahari adayin anu oisim shtei yomim. We still do 2 days. Vodenu kivat chila, and we do it like it was originally. Ne oisa takana rishayna. We do it because of the original takana. Lo mimne safek, not because of a doubt. Hilkach hoyel v'loy pasku miatzleinu mishaschilanu eno hakil. We can't go lenient v'loymer ein min haginu zeh. Mimnei takana rishona. El mimnei hasafik. Ubeitu materis. We cannot say this. Halo amrinan the kivan delo paska osa takana miatzleinu shan achas lasas yom echad adayin diserenu harishonu amedes oimdin lastin biyom orach. So Rab and Shmuel are quoting the Bnei Bavel, which never changed, and therefore we always keep 2 days as one long day, so therefore it's nodeh b'zeh asur b'zeh. However, in Eretz Yisrael, so the din is that the second day it is mutter. That's one answer. Rav Yosef Omer Apen Tekanas Rav Yochanan Zakan v'Elech Beitzah asur. No, even in Eretz Yisrael, once this takana took place, the egg is asur. So my taima, because havi davar shemaminyan, the whole davar shemaminyan sarach minyan achal hatiro. The reality is that even though that the whole concept doesn't exist anymore because there's no Beis HaMikdash, the Levim cannot make a mistake in the shear, but it doesn't make a difference because once there was a davar shemaminyan, namely that there was a group of chachamim that instituted a particular takana, no group afterwards is able to just be mater it unless they're gadol the chacham minyan. So therefore, because of that, even though it's true that the kana really doesn't apply so much anymore, because the Beis HaMikdash isn't here, nonetheless the same din applies. And therefore, even though you're in Eretz Yisrael, we still say nodeh b'zeh, asur b'zeh, because it's considered like a Yom Aruch. So on this, Omer Rav Yosef, Minallah, how do we know that there's such a din? That once you have a davar shemaminyan, that you need a minyan acher to be matur. Dechsiv, leichem elohem, shivulachem loy leichem. So Hashem said you can go back to your tents, which means that a person is able to cohabit with their wives. The Omer, and then it says, V'mshaycha yoyvel hema yal bahar. It says that now, afterwards, they're able to go back to the mountain, that which they were not allowed to ascend before. Fatanya, and furthermore, third answer, Kerem Ravai Hoya Oil Yerushalayim Mahalach Yom Echad L'chol Tzad. Even though when it comes to like Meiser Sheni, on the 4th year, the first 3 years it's Arla, but then afterwards Kerem Ravai is brought to Yerushalayim. However, let's say it's too heavy, you could be poided. However, it's only if you're far away. If you are within a day's distance to Yerushalayim, we want you to bring the fruits there. Bezuhi Tchaiman, this is the border of where you should be bringing the Kerem Ravai. And let's just read the parentheses. There's brackets over also here. Oilus min atzafan v'akvas min adaram lud min hamarim v'yordin min hamizrach. Yom ula v'item rabba v'varchana Rabbi Yochanan matam. What's the reason why you're supposed to bring these fruits? After all, just bring money. Kedei la'ater shuk Yerushalayim b'perus. That we should be able to adorn the marketplace with so many fruits, and therefore it shows how beautiful Yerushalayim will be because it has all this produce. So we're going to see, So just like when it came to Har Sinai, you would think, obviously, of course you can go back to your wives, but the pasuk has to say it. Also, when it comes to going up the mountain, so we know they weren't allowed to, but now the Shekhinah is not there, you should be able to go. And third, when it comes to now that the Beitzah Mikdash isn't around, why would you need to have this takana of trying to beautify the streets of Yerushalayim? Why do we need to beautify it? We don't have the Beitzah Mikdash anymore. So, nonetheless, we learn out from these three different things this concept. But Tanya, as we're going to explain, Kerem Rabbi Hayulol Rabbi Eliezer b'Mizrach Lud b'Tzad Kfar Toivi. So he had this Kerem Rabbi in this particular location as we continue to Hayam Beis, Ubikesh Lahafkiro Aniyim, and he wanted to be able to make it orderless to the poor. Why? Says Rashi, Shilkatu Haim, let them gather up these fruits, V'yalu Yerushalayim, they'll bring it to Yerushalayim, V'yachluhu Sham, Shayalav Tarech Lahalo Sham Haperos. It would be very difficult for him to bring all those fruits. So Amo Talmid of Rabbi, Kfar Nimno Lecha Chavarecha, V'tiru. They already gathered up together, and they allowed you, even though you're in relative close proximity to Yerushalayim, you're still allowed to redeem it. So don't be concerned that it's so heavy and therefore you're just going to be mafker it. The reality is you could instead be poed it onto money and bring that money to Yerushalayim. So what do we see over here? And before we see this raya, so your chaverim came in matu. So man chavarecha, who your friend? Rabbi Yochanan Zakai. So taima the nimnu. The only reason why this takana has been removed is only because there was a base that achar that was matir it. Kalo nimnu lo. So my be oimi. The question is, why do you have to have these three different proofs? Halchakamer. Michni, let's see. Ksiv hayu nichaynim l'shoshishamim. We have to be prepared for 3 days before Har Sinai, before Kabbalah Satira, and it says al tikshol isha. Person shouldn't come close to his wife. So lech emer lahem shulachem loilechem lumli. Why does the pasuk have to say, oh, now you can go back to your wives? It's very clear. It's only for a few days. After those few days have passed, you should understand that you can now go back. So shema mina kol davar shebeminyan tzarich minyanach lahatiro. Now v'chitema lamitzvah sonahu dasa. Maybe it's just coming to tell you that because of there's a mitzvah of onah, they want to emphasize the importance of making sure that you go back to your wife. However, maybe this concept doesn't apply elsewhere. Tashma b'mshecha yovel hemiyel bahar michti. Siv, the pasuk says gam hatzayin v'bakar al yirel mul haharahu, that you can't have your sheep and livestock and cattle grazing by Har Sinai. So therefore, we want to have a boundary so that they don't go into that area. So why does it have to say that afterwards that you have the ability to bring them up there? Obviously. So maybe the only time we say this is by dini deraisa. Says Rashi, be'isr shiyatzim epia gvura, because it came from Hashem himself. Hutzruch lishmo heter mipiv. That's why you need a heter, because the original psak came from God above. Alba b'minyan derabanan lo be'inan shrei behedya el machlala. Maybe you can just figure it out through inference. Tashma kerem Rabbi, v'ha kerem Rabbi derabanan v'karmelei kfar nimnalecha chavercha v'hetiruhu. That you had this rabbi that mastered it. So therefore, we see when it comes to davar shebeminyan tzarich minyan achal hatiro. V'chitema Beitzah nami. How about when it comes to this egg? Imnu ola Rabbi Yochanan zakim v'shirua. It says that he counted it up and he martyred it. Says Rashi, Hashta hadu Rabbi Yosef asuki milsa di emer after comes Rabbi Yochanan zakai v'elach Beitzah asura. That which we said that the egg is asur. The question is, didn't he martyr it? So my answer is ki imnu a edus, a Beitzah imnu. All Rabbi Yochanan Zakai did was he allowed the edus to be accepted the entire day. That's what he removed. That it's not for only for up until mincha. No, it's allowed also the entire day. Well, mikabel edus the whole day. However, the egg, he never did anything to that takana, and therefore it remained aser. Okay, so Amalei Abaya Atu what? Beitzah b'minyan mihavi be'eda Beitzah be'edus Beitzah be'edus tali milsa. Itzer edus, itzer Beitzah, ishtri edus, ishtri Beitzah. So the truth is, he did matter it, because once he did this regarding the edus, so what's the reason why the egg is mutter or usher? It's totally on what day it is. Is it Yom Tov or is it Chol? So therefore, once he instituted that it's all day, so that's also going to apply when it comes to the egg as well. Okay, let's stop for 1 second. Let's see a couple of questions. Let's see question 11. Ma tam. Okay, actually, let's go weiter. Let's continue. Because we're going to have a third answer. We're going to understand. We'll review what the answers are. What the question was, what the answer is. Rav Adav, Rav Shalman, Tervayu, Mebei, Chaluchas, Amri. They said that after the Kodesh Rav Yochanan Zakkai Be'elach, this is a third answer. Even from the time of Rav Yochanan Zakkai, Beitzah, the egg was aser. My timer. Why is the egg aser? Mehera Yabana Beis HaMikdash. And this is also similar language to Rav Yochanan Zakkai's Takana, Yoim Hanaf Kul Aser and Masech the Sukkah, that eventually the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt. The Yomru and people are going to say, Shtakid last year, Lo Milach Lenu Beitzah B'Yom Tov Sheni. I remember that we were able to eat the egg on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. So Hashanami Nechol. So we should be able to eat it now too. V'lo Yadai. But they're not going to know. The Shtakid Shtei Kedushasein. The reason why last year was okay is because we have Shtei Kedushos. And therefore, the second day, or Mamad Shach, 1 day is Chol. The Hashta Kedusha Achas. But now, it's considered to be Kedusha Achas. And therefore, Kedusha Achas, we say that once it is one long day, we can't say Nod B'zeh, Mutter B'zeh. That's why it's Aser. The Yachi Edus Nami, Lo Nekabel. So why would he be Mekabel the Edus all day? My timer. So Meheri Abana Mesa Mekdash Yemishtakid Mila Kableno Edus Achadosh Kol Yom Kulo. I remember that before we were Mila were Makabel the Edus all day. Hash Dinami Nekabel. So the people in the Beis HaMikdash are going to say, "Hey, I guess now we can also be Makabel." But then there may be another mistake in the shear. So maybe you should make the same thing. You should say, well, when it comes to Makabel the Edus, so it's no Hachi Hashta Hasam Edus Masur Basin Basil Chol Masur. This is Gemara says many places. When it comes to Edus, that's something which is given over to Basin. So Basin's not going to make that mistake. They're going to know, yeah, last year the reason why we had the whole day to do it was because there was no Beis HaMikdash. Now there's a Beis HaMikdash. There's different possible mistakes, such as again Levim saying the wrong shear. So that will not happen. So there's no concern to make that mistake. No one's going to say, oh, last year I did this. However, when it comes to the egg, he wants to just keep it usher. He doesn't want to make any distinctions, because when the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt and there'll be Kedusha Achas, so then it will be usher on both days. Rabbi Omer Afman Tekanas Rav Yochanan Zakkai Ve'elach Beitzah Asura. Again, it's true. After the Takana of Rav Yochanan Zakkai, still the egg is usher. Milo Moida Rav Yochanan Zakkai, would he at least not agree? She'im Bo Edim Min HaMincha Mala, that if, let's say, the witnesses did come, Shenohagin Oisahim Kadosh L'Malcha Kodesh, that both days will be Kodesh. Says Rashi, Afagav the Tikkun L'Kabel Edus HaChodesh Kol Hayom, even though it's true he counts the entire day that witnesses could come, even if they come afterwards, he's not going to remove the original takana from its place. So therefore, it'll be just, again, like one long day. And let's remind ourselves what we said before in yesterday's daf. Yom Rabbi Hilchos HaKavasi D'Rab Bahani Tlas Ben L'Kula Ben L'Chumra. So we always pass like Rab, but L'Kula or L'Chumra. So over here, when it comes to Shtei Yom and Tovim, Rosh Hashanah we say No B'Zeh is Asur B'Zeh, which is of course strict. When it comes to the Shnei Yom and Tovim Shel Golius, Rab actually says No B'Zeh is Muteris B'Zeh, and when it came to the first case, which is Shabbos and Yom Tov, Rav says no b'zeh, sur b'zeh. So out of the 3 times, the time that he's lenient is when it comes to the Shnei Yom Tovim Shel Goliath. Rav holds no b'zeh muteres b'zeh, and again we paskin like him in all cases. Okay, let's see a couple of questions. We're going to stop there. Let's see question 11. So Ma Tam, there's 4 answers. So we did them. Now let's understand what the question was. Ma Tam hasoivrim. What's the reason for those who thought and said that an egg which is born on the first day of Rosh Hashanah is asr on the second day? Why would it be asr on the second day? Not like a regular Yom Tov. V'lo chashu, and they're not concerned with it tanan to tikkun Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai mekabel midas hachodesh kol yom. It says they were able to mekabel edus all day. So therefore, what's the problem? You'll know today is Rosh Hashanah and not tomorrow. So the 4 answers like this. One was the difference between Eretz Yisrael and Babel. In Eretz Yisrael, no b'zeh muter b'zeh. However, in Babel, where we still have 2 days, even nowadays, so there's no nafkamina from the takana. The takana didn't help the people in outside in Bnei Babel. So again, one answer to this question is that when it comes to an egg, it's mutter in Eretz Yisrael on the second day, but not in Babel. The next answers say no. Even in Eretz Yisrael, it's also on the second day, because the lo nimnu minyan achel hatiru Beitzah sheneser b'minyan. Even though he may have matter the edus because he's not concerned about changing that, but he didn't change when it came to the egg, and therefore he said no the b'zeh, aser b'zeh doesn't change. He's concerned that again the change of the Beis HaMikdash being rebuilt, which will be kedusha achas. Third answer is gezeru atu meheru yabanim hamikdash, as we said. Moed Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai shapapi debo edim min hamincha oisen beis yomim tovim k'takan rishona. Even if the edim did come afterwards, he would still say that both days are considered to be kodesh. So obviously it's not based on the suffix, and therefore because of that, no b'zeh also b'zeh. Okay, fine. So those are the answers. One is again Eretz Yisrael versus Babel. One is no, even Eretz Yisrael, but he didn't have a minyan achal hatiro. The third is the Gzera of the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt, and therefore did not include that in the takana. You can maybe say that's really part of the same answer. And again, even if they came after for Mincha Mala, still he would say both days are kodesh. Okay, let's see a couple more questions. TA 10. Rabbi Omer after the Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai Beitzah Asura. It's still Aser. Milu Moder Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai Shim Bo Edim Ma Haisa the Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai Ma Habir B'Devarim Shebeitzah Asura Acher the Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. So it's a little bit lengthy. Perhaps it's the same stuff that we said. Let's see what they wrote. So that the Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai from the Kabbalah, it's Kabbalah's Edus is the whole day. The egg is Aser because the only time that he counted and paskin against the original psak is only when it came to the Mekabel Edus. However, when it came to the Shnei Yom Tovim Shel Rosh Hashanah, Nishir Kamo Kodim Hatakana V'Havli Kedusha Achas. He didn't change that. Okay, TB 12. Ketzad Samchu Rabbi Shmuel Al Hatakana Shin Mekabel Rosh Hashanah Edim Min Mincha. Well, Aser Beitzah Shel Zebazeh V'Harav Yochanan Zakkai Hichzer B'Davar Liyushnoi Gimel Tirutzim. Okay, so again, this is very similar to the questions that we saw. Let's see what he writes. TB 12. It says again, one is Eretz Yisrael, one is Babel. So in Chutz La'aretz, far away, there were no 2 days because of the original takana. Meheria, it's interesting. He only gives 3 answers. Meheria Yabana HaMikdash V'Tichzer Takana Rishona Shlo Yatiru B'Taos Kishtake. You won't make a mistake like last year. And also from the Takana of Yochanan Zakkai onward, they even if they would come, he still made both days of Yom Tov, and therefore the original takana was not changed, and therefore again it's not a suffix, but rather it's kedusha achas, and therefore no b'zeh, aser b'zeh.